Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. Yet again, I brought on another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. But first, before we even start that, I want to let everybody know I got a package in the mail yesterday. This is from one Robert Moltari. Got his plush toy from his Wolfpack campaign. Awesome, awesome little toy. This is a plushie. I thought it was going to be much bigger than this, and I'm really happy that it's not. This is like the perfect size. So this is really cool. So, I'm pretty sure he has some left over, so go get one. This is pretty cool. The other thing I got a visitor yesterday, and this knucklehead brought me a bunch of books. Look at that. Limbo. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very generous. This guy. He's even brought me the silver foils. This guy, sometimes I hate him, sometimes I love him. He's one of those types of guys, love or hate. And also, I'm packing up my own books for my own campaign. These suckers just came in. Some of them were damaged, so I'm waiting for another shipment to come in, but I'm shipping about half the books out. So, now that that's done, let's bring in this guy.
What is up, Streamland? I'm JD Rosario from Unstoppable Comics, and guess what, Calderon? Sometimes I love me, and sometimes I hate me too.
Okay, fair enough. And Mr. our co-host, Mr. Paul Gomez, how are you, sir?
Thank you guys for having me. I'm glad to be back, ready for this great show.
All right, cool. Let's bring on first guest. First timer, Mr. David. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. First time. Hopefully, it won't be the last time. Glad to be with all of you other crazy guys.
Yeah, no, it's hardly ever anybody's last time. Like, well, look at how many times I've had Jay back on. It's just,
I know.
we never.
I know. You need better guests than me, buddy.
What's up, Mr. Big Dog?
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Tom, introduce
How we
yourself.
doing, Tom?
Introduce myself. It's right here.
There you go.
It tells you right there. Tom Hutchison, writer, publisher, art director, shipping guy, traveling salesman, all things Big Dog Inc.
Very nice. And Mr. Marcus, you're muted. That's right, we're gonna goof on you. You're muted. You're muted. You got the little arrow. There you go.
It's always been my secret fear that I was going to be the person to start and do that. And come on the show muted. And now it's finally a nightmare came true. I can let it go. But I am Marcus McNeal. But Marcus McNeal, I'm glad to be back on the show. Editor-in-chief of Odyssey Comics, publisher of the Ringo-nominated Twilight Custard graphic novel.
Congratulations.
Please, by all means, I know we're probably not going to win against Zoe Thorogood, but if everybody would go out there and support Twilight Custard for a Ringo nomination for Best Original Graphic Novel. The writer, Josh, and the artist, William Woohol, did an amazing job on this book. Fantastic. I'm so proud to represent it with Odyssey right now. Go ahead and vote that thing, man, and maybe we can be an underdog pick, sneak in there a little bit.
Very nice. Best of luck, man.
Yeah, man. Seriously. Congratulations. All right. And the final
What
pick
up?
of the night.
Hey, Michael.
What's up, Mike? Introduce yourself, sir.
Well, I'm Michael Oden. I'm the creator and founder of Nine Realms Publishing. I have written books such as Elysian Fields, The Embrace, and the wonderful historical adventure, SPQR's Bizarre Adventure. And we also just launched my latest creative endeavor, Judex, on Indiegogo here last night, and we're up to 6K. So that's exciting.
Nice. Very good.
Very nice. Very nice. I just wanted to put this up real quick. We had this even before the show came up. Nefarious asked where the white women are at, and I'm just saying, Jay, you need to put on this. You need to put on the wig. You need to represent.
Hey, you know what I mean? Just because I'm from New York, I get it. I get it.
All right. So listen, guys, we have the show question. So this is something I've heard a few people come up. Marcus mentioned the Ringo Awards, and this is the reason this subject came up, right? Is like there's some people so what's important to you? What matters more to you, validation or creation? As a creator, right? because there's some people I heard they were like, I didn't get nominated for the Ringos, and they were bummed out by that. And I mean, I get it. I mean, we all want to be like, I don't know, patted on our backs and said, great job or whatever, and that's cool. That's a nice thing. You understand? But what's more important to you? The creation of the project, right? Making the art, right? Or being told, oh yeah, you did a good job, right? I mean, I know where I stand, but I want to know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on it? You understand? And just add some insight into that. And so, Mr. Oden, you're last, so you're gonna be first.
Okay, outstanding. Sounds like a plan. In terms of what I care about more between like the validation and creation, honestly, creating. While I think the goal for any single one of us is to obviously get to the point where we have people that recognize our work and enjoy our work and everything like that. The joy of seeing something that was in my head come to life and get into the hands of everybody else. That's not gotten old for me. It's funny because like people, when I did my first book, they're like, "Oh man, just wait! Like going through your first book, going through each book is gonna get old after a while." And I'm like, every single time I get one of my books in my hand, it's like Christmas morning, right? Like inspecting the print quality, going through the pages, making sure that like everything's good to go, and just holding it as a physical manifestation of something that is born from your imagination, born from your own creativity, everything like that. It is an unparalleled feeling.
All right. Okay. All right. David, what do you think? It's
Well, first off, I want to give a little inside baseball. I thought, obviously, play the lottery. You always think you have a chance, but the Ringos are different than, say, the Eisners, the bigger, not the bigger, but the other awards. And not that I think I'm that level, but those are all juried. The Ringos allow a vote in. That technically, majority of the nominees are mailed in by publishers, and the publishers obviously pick the books they want to push that they think is award worthy. But then there's a couple other entries that are controlled by fan vote-ins. And I thought, okay, maybe I got my chance. Maybe I can motivate my fan base. So it was more of a calculated thing. And I know I'm going off of the whole validated versus the creation, but I don't typically chase these things or worry about them. But this one I thought I could not game the system, but maybe I'd have a better shot at it. And also I'm now an hour away from Baltimore, so it was like, oh, that's awesome. And I mean, I felt bad because of all the effort I put in. When you put in that much effort, you get a little attached, and I was all like, oh man, but typically I don't. So typically I don't go for it. So typically I love the creation, and that's why I do it, because I want to make the books. It's just in this particular instance, I put a little more effort because you can. And so I got a little more emotionally invested than I normally would. And then, so I got locked down. So this is a very anomaly for me to where I not play the game, and I lost. So, and I got to take that too. So I'm all behind now. I want to see the indies to win, because if you look at best writer, it's all big name folks. Like there's a DC and Marvel guys, and one guy who's got a major writing awards, and then there's Drew Edwards.
So you got like Matt
does
Kent
Halloween
and Jeff
Man,
Lemire
so
and those guys.
that. Yeah. So like, okay, yeah, no, I can still vote, and I'm gonna make my vote heard again. We're gonna make it indie, because the other guys, they get enough accolades as it is. So, but that's more of my down with the man sort of thing than worried about accolades in general.
Gotcha. All right, listen, man, that's fair enough. Look, man, I mean, like I said, it's my curiosity. Like I said, I seen some guys and they just said like they were gonna give up on their books and like this and the other thing, and that's where I felt like I felt a little hurt.
Give
not
up
for
because
myself.
they didn't get nominated.
Correct. Yeah, there were a couple of those. There's a couple of those posts, and it's just like
Okay, bye.
right.
Like literally 99.9% of people did not get nominated. I mean, like
this is an endurance game. Above all else, it is an endurance game. I remember when I first came in, people were like, "You're not a comic book creator until you've done 5 books," because 3/4 of everyone it drops out after book 1, 2, or 3, because it is an undertaking. It is a commitment, and if you want this, you fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You don't just give up because you didn't get what you wanted first go round.
Right. Now hold on, but Tom. So to your point, what do you think of how do you feel about it?
Well, this is kind of a weird layered question. So I hope we've got about 8 hours to deal with it tonight. So I think that
you got 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, go. Ready to go. So I think that most creators create for the sake of creating. I think that's where it always begins for the most part. There are definitely a lot of creators that come in like, I've got the idea, man. I'm going to put this book out. Hollywood's going to love it. It's going to become like, no, dude, that's not happening. Stop. But most creators come in like, I want to make a comic. I've got a story. I've got a character. I've got an idea. I want to make this comic book. I want to put it out. I want to have my comic in my hand, that's kind of where it all starts. And then once you've kind of reached that point, then it's, well, I want to do 2, I want to do 3, I want to finish a mini series, I want to finish a story arc, whatever you want to call it. And that's sort of the driving force, right? And I think that's where it came from me is I just had ideas and I was like, I just want to see if I can do it. And once I kind of did it, and we had some minor element of success, we kind of were like, well, can we do it again? Put out another book. Well, can we do it again? Put out another book, all different types of books. And now here we are 13 years later and we've got 14 different titles. So for me, creation is where it starts, but I think validation is also is where the creation leans into, because if you're just putting out books and validation is many things. Validation to some apparently is getting a nomination. Validation to others is going to be cash. Validation to others is going to be purely fan love and joy, right? So validation has different segments to it, and each person is going to be validated by a different thing. But I think ultimately for me, the validation part that I like, and it's not even really validation, it's just sort of an understanding that people have not only bought my books, but have read the books and want the next one. It's not that they're sitting there going, is he going to make a next one? They're going, when does the next one come out? I want to know what happens to this story and this character. And then there's times where I get just messages and emails from people just out of the blue, like the old days when it was like writing in letters to Marvel or whatever. I just get messages and emails from people like, I got this last issue. This is, I love this character. I love what's going on. It's, it means this to me. It means that to me. Like that to me is sort of the real validation. Like if you've got a story and character that connects to other people, that's where you've kind of really made, for me, the validation sort of run. I've been nominated for awards before. I lost to the X-Men, whatever. It's like, all that award stuff is like, it doesn't mean anything. The awards for me are the fans that keep coming back and saying, what happens to Critter in the next issue? When does Penny for Your Soul, man? When's it coming back? Like, bring me more. Like that's the part of the validation. Like that's the excitement level that you can generate in comics. And that for me is where I'm like, that's where the juices really kind of are like flowing, because I'm creating all the time anyway. But when the fans are like, bring me more, man, that's an awesome level.
All right, cool. Marcus, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I gotta say I'm right there with Tom. I think when it comes to it, I can't say, I can't really compare the two and say, I can say personally that creation outweighs validation for me. Because I want to create because I want to create, and even if nobody read it, I would still do it just because it's inside of me. It has to come out. There's no other way for me to go about life. Unfortunately, I always see validation as a component, or rather a reward, from the creation itself. If you are motivated or using validation as your motivation, you're gonna have a real bad time. Basically with anything in life, comics, music, art, going to work every day. Like it's not something you want to be hinging your viability as a person. But when it comes to the validation, everyone has their own form of it, like Tom just mentioned, whether it's money, whether it's someone picking a book up at a con and saying, hey, I love this, whether it's someone hitting you on email saying, hey, when's the next version of this coming out? If you're on Kickstarter and you see, good money coming in and your next project's getting life, that's awesome. Being able to come on shows like this amongst your peers, and be seen and respected as a member of your community, that's a form of validation. It could be anything. And then there's awards and things like that too. Like it's great that we have a book that's nominated, but if we never get another nomination or an award or anything like that, like I don't think anyone really gives two squirts about it. It's a cool thing to have, but it looks good on a book when you can put that stamp on there. But at the same time, it's really about getting things out to the people that appreciate it and being able to make the next thing. And of course, getting a little pat on the shoulder here and there is always good too. But yeah, I was warn and caution anyone who's getting into comics or any sort of creative field about being too reliant on validation, and especially going for something that is a little bit loftier in terms of goals and accolades and things like that. They're exceptionally hard to come by.
Yeah. Dust Comics says, I didn't know people cancel books over this. I was just bummed for a day was all. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they actually can, but it sounded like that's what they were discussing. That's the direction they were heading in. I just hope that's not the direction they went in. They decided to suck it up and just continue. I just want to hit on a couple more of these. If you think Chase validation is hard in comics, please never get involved in music. There you go. Validation is nice, but it should be the icing, not the cake itself. Right? There you go. I prefer to suffer in a creative medium. One creative medium at a time. There you go. Very nice. Paul, so what are your thoughts?
It's kind of a weird question because I believe that you move that goalpost for yourself. You create those goals that you should go for like every so often and try to check them off that checklist. I didn't get into it for either the creation or validation because I think the only validation I was looking for in my life is being a good father and being a good person. And the only people that can tell me that is, my kids whenever they grow up or, my God whenever I die. But, I started creating this for my kids as a reward. So I guess it would be the process of creating it that I got into it for. The fact that, they held it in their hands and was like, Dad, can I take this to school? Because this is so awesome. I was like, that's it. That was my first goal whenever it came to comics. And it was one of the best moments of my life. If I could make that feeling as another goal in my comic career, I would, but I don't know how. All I know is I started enjoying it. It was like a drug afterwards. I just wanted to continue making stuff, and people started asking questions about the book and about the books, and it was just awesome getting to meet amazing new people and in the process. So I guess it would be the creation for me.
Here's a thought, guys, real quick. Sorry, before you jump in, Jay.
Okay.
Coffin Comics and Brian Pulido, right? Two of the biggest indie guys. Well, he's the biggest indie guy in the indies for the most part, right? There's no awards for him. He's not nominated for shit. Not even best cover artist. So should he shut it down because he didn't get a well, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Let's have a little bit of
where things are at right now, right? I mean, how many of the people that stopped doing their stuff have a room filled with participation trophies, right? How many of them actually went for their own personal brass ring? And that's what we're chasing here, right? We're chasing our own personal brass ring, whether it's the validation or creation. For me, ultimately, is which one is going to help me keep the lights on, right? Which one is going to help me feed the collaborators? You can look at an award nominee and is it a talking point? Yes. Is it a marketing point? Yes. Can you spread the word and have something else to talk about during the week or in your campaigns for the updates? Yes. It gives you another opportunity to do so. But outside of the comic book world, any sort of nomination or award helps to drive that person's asking price up, right? Whether you're an MVP athlete or whether you're an Emmy award-winning actress, actor, director, right? Your asking price goes up for your next project. Does that also happen with us in comic books, right? If you're a Ringo, an Eisner winner, do you get more money on your next project? Can you ask for more money? Is it going to help validate that asking price? I don't know. I don't know any winners personally, right? I know a nominee. You know, Marcus, is it going to help you say not just with the stamp, but our books are now $1 more, right? Can we translate that? Is that going to help us? Is that going to negate the work that we're doing? I don't know, right? Like a lot of you guys here, yeah, the best validation is when you're at a convention or online, when you hear somebody give a proper review of your product, whether they like it or they don't. Hey, you took the time out to spend money on it, to read it, and to come up with an idea to pitch to me, or excuse me, not a conceptual idea, but your review of the project that I just made. That's great. That's awesome. Thank you for that time, especially if it's a convention and you bought the book yesterday and you come back the next day. Oh my God, right? And you're telling other people about that. That's one hell of a validation. And for me, yeah, that's going to bring in more sales because they're going to start to evangelize my book. When we do these awards, the Eisners, the Ringos, how many people are out there evangelizing for us? So it's a vague. I know it's a vague answer, right? But I mean, my answer is none of them. It's what helps me keep the lights on, right? I got to make books to keep the lights on. So I guess the creation.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. To answer the question myself, I've always felt the creation. Like I said, I just felt bad that people would put that much stock in, an award. I mean, it's nice, but in the end, it's a popularity contest. It's not really so much. It's like how popular are you? You're the most popular person on Twitter. You're gonna win every time, right? And it gets kind of boring, right? You're like, how many times have we seen newscasters, newsrooms, they win these crazy awards? It's because they're the most popular person there, and it's just like, okay, whatever. They're not necessarily the best. They're just the most popular. Right.
And how many people in comic book creation sat at the cool table at lunch in school?
What?
No.
Oh, I did. Yeah. I was a fucking nerd like
Maybe
most
by high
people.
school. Certainly not growing up, but like by high school.
Yeah. We had to disguise ourselves at my school. So,
how about this,
right.
JD? How can I? I want to spend just like a little bit more time on this one, just because it's a very personal topic to me. Because the unfortunate thing about myself, and that I have to admit, and I have to spend more time on. And I think I kind of commented on this on Facebook, and I didn't mention it as I was discussing it. I typically do not take the time to even let validation or any sort of success like sink in. I'm always, okay, that was cool. What's the next thing? Okay, that was cool. What's the next thing? How important is validation as a creator to keep your energy up and to keep
right? But here's the thing, though. You're so busy, which means you're successful on a very certain level that you don't have time to worry about those things. You're too busy. You're doing stuff. You're making things. You're making stuff happen. So you don't got to worry about that. Only people who have time on their hands need to worry about validation, right? Because you're busy. That means you're successful, right?
I think that's one we look at, and that's something that
that's the music during the award, walking you off.
Right? Well, I'm just saying. I'm like, that's how I look at it. I'm so busy, I don't have time.
That's 100% right. That's a validation in itself, whether you interpret it that way or not. Is if you're too busy doing what you do, that means that you are successful. Or if you're not successful yet, you're driving for success, and you've put your blinders on. It's like, well, I don't really. That doesn't matter because I have to work on this book. I have to make this Kickstarter. I have to go to this con. That's the validation is that you have that even if it's an internal validation. It doesn't have to be an external validation. Again, there's layers of what validation are to different people. So you can have an internal validation, which is just, damn, I really like this book that I just made. And then you put it out into the world and you make another one and you do it again.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing that came up too, because as I was talking to Josh about the nomination, and he was asking me, I'm like, of course I campaigned for it. Like, I'm a publisher. I'm going to campaign for, when the ring goes for everybody that's, got something going on, whether it's, David's title or his title, everything. I'm going to put as many names for it as I can get there. And, we had a couple of big cons around the same time. I was able to go out there and do some stumping and everything too. When the Ringos came, I wasn't even thinking about our nomination or getting the nomination or anything that I did back then. It was just like, oh, it was fun. I'm going to try to do it. And then when I saw that it actually had taken place, it was like, kind of like, oh, I would tell Josh, he'll think he's
the funny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The funny thing is, I actually got an award for my first book by Comic Chat Authority. I don't know if y'all know who Cody is. Great guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing about it, I didn't know that he had awards or he was giving them out. And whenever he gave me that award, I was just so happy that people were reading my book. So, I mean, to me, that was a validation in itself. Just the fact that they reviewed the book not only once during the year, but also during their award ceremony kind of thing. And they talked about the story itself. And it was like, you should be proud of what you've done. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with being proud of it. I mean, it's whether there's nothing wrong with searching for validation. If that's your choice.
I want to tack on to what Marcus was saying a second ago. As a publisher, right? Mm-hmm. He nominated some of the people on his team to show them. Excuse me, if I'm putting words in your mouth, I apologize. But I see it as a way to show the team that maybe they're too busy. Maybe they don't know enough about the politics of all of this. But from his point, to show them, your work has been strong enough for me to put that much more effort into promoting as well, right? So it's not just the validating, it's not just the comic book creating, right? It's also showing the team that the efforts that they've put in have been worthwhile as well.
Yeah, and I think that was a cool thing for me because, I don't do it passively either. Everybody that works with Odyssey, I really think their stuff is fantastic and stands shoulder to shoulder with any other title out there. When Josh brought Twilight Custard to me and pitched it for us to publish it, I told him, straight to his face, this is the best independent graphic novel that I've read this year.
Thanks.
That anybody has submitted and give it to me. So when it came time to do that, and I told him I'm also going to push hard to get it a Ringo. I can't say it's going to happen or anything like that, but just know that I'm going to put my best foot forward and try to make it happen because I believe in what you created that much. So for him, I think the validation, is in this certain conversation that we have in, is that I wasn't blowing smoke up his ass. I told him that, it's a great book and it gets recognized for being a great book and he gets to hang his hat on that. As an editor, as a publisher, I'm just hitting the book and selling it and trying to get into some shops and everything like that. I didn't have anything to do with the Ringo. It ain't for me. I get to give that to him and have that for something for his books to have and things like that. So I want him to have that validation. The validation for me is just, the I guess the auspice that other people saw the book and felt the same way that I felt and are communicating the same thing to him as a community that I did. And that's enough for me.
Right. I mean, but also your position is a little different than, let's say, my position or maybe Tom's position or Michael's position or Paul's position. And in some case, in a little bit, Jay's somewhere in that area where you're a publisher, right? Yeah. Well, I'm out there voting, I'm for myself, and so is Tom, and so is Michael, and Paul. We're out there for ourselves. You're out there for an entire spectrum of books and stuff. So you got like a lot of space there to
people
cover.
That are under the umbrella. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So Anyway, Jay, you're up, sir.
All right. I don't want to bring the room down any more than it's been brought.
Are we going to talk about Dial of Destiny? Is that what's happening?
Come on.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
I wanted to see it. But I didn't have the chance to. And it kind of leads into my question. for those of you who run a lean operation, whether you're a one-man show or you got a small little team that helps you put together content, how do you keep the gears running in the wake of a family loss? Do you go?
Did you just say you didn't want to bring it up? But okay. Well,
Yeah, no.
Wow.
right. You know, I don't want to again bring the room down, but again, there's no wrong answer here. I'm just looking for fucking information for myself, and maybe some other people out there who are watching, maybe
all right.
may need some ideas for the future. Hopefully not.
Right. How about we say instead of how about in the face of a crisis?
Okay, in the face of a crisis.
Right. In the face of a crisis. There you go.
Right. There you go.
David, what are your thoughts on that? How do you deal with a crisis when you're trying to run your business?
Oh, totally depends on the crisis, obviously. But I remember distinctively when the pandemic hit, I paused everything. And I had a artist who he was a bit slow, so he wasn't on the hard schedule, but he finally finished everything up and he was hurting for money. So it was the middle of the pandemic and I was all like, well, crap. You know, that gave me the impetus to step up and, to really, get the project up and get it running and all of that. But if we talk true dark, like what Jay was talking about, you got to take care of yourself first. You got to, you got to do self-care, the mental health. You got to do that first because you want to do your projects at your best. And so that's why it depends on the crisis. If it's something that gives you that urgency and that, that energy to see it done right, do it. If it's just manic energy and it just stresses you out more and you have, no more F's to give, don't do that. You got to just be honest with yourself. There's an expectation, but we're all human here. I think one of you may be a robot.
He says,
but you just gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, actually, I think Jay is a gray. Yes.
A gray? What's a gray? What's a gray?
Huh?
What's a gray?
Oh, see,
That's exactly what a gray would say.
Yeah.
That's exactly what a gray would say.
Exactly. That's how we know you're one of them.
Nanu.
I didn't say at the cool table or the geek table. I was just on my fucking.
He's just happy to have a chair, man.
There you go, man. There you go. Half full, half empty. As long as I get a glass, it doesn't matter. I get.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, Tom. So, what are your thoughts on the subject?
Oh man, we have had this rampant through Big Dog Inc. Even in just the past couple of years. Not for me personally, as far as like losing family members and stuff, but our team has had just kind of over and over again in the last couple of years, and not even COVID stuff, just general bad, tragic things happening. Plus, we've had 3 Big Dog Inc. Creators pass in our 13 years. Eric Hoffman was our lead minion. He was in a car accident. Keith Thomas died due to cancer a few years ago. David Fought just died to cancer a couple of years ago. So we've had this in our creative, brains for a long time. Is like, how do we deal with this? And then just recently we had some creators that had their family members, they lost family members. And so it was like, well, I mean, I can't sit here and be like, yeah, that sucks, but color those pages. So you kind of have to, to understand there's going to be a time period for in that situation for them. You have to understand that they are going to need time just to do the basic elements of, like, let's do the funeral and whatever happens to go. That's a period of time. There's a mourning period of time. You kind of have to leave it on them to tell you when they're ready to come back. Sometimes it's faster than you expect. Sometimes it's longer than you expect. And if it's going to be too long, unfortunately, sometimes you have to make a decision to say, look, I can't wait 2 months. We have to move forward with whatever it is. If you have colors that need to be done, they got to get done. So you have to, at some point, be like, you have to tell me when you're coming back. And then we're going to start there and go forward. But you have to give people time. And with the guys that we lost, our creative folks, you know, for me, I know that the three of them, all of them, would not want us as Big Dog Inc. to trip and miss, you know, sort of any opportunity to maintain momentum and keep going with what we're doing. So at each kind of point there, we sort of, you know, remembered them within our social media, within our books. And we remembered them in the context of sort of creative energy. Like none of them would be there like, yo, I hope Tom takes a month off and like, you know, cries his eyes out for me. So while we're still 100% in a mourning period, all of us at Big Dog Inc., when these guys went down, we also looked at it as what would they want us to do? How would they want us to handle it? We can't just cancel our comic conventions. They wouldn't want that. They wouldn't want us to cancel a Kickstarter. They wouldn't want that. So we kind of, you know, memorialized them in our efforts of creative energy. Let's look at what, you know, what would David want us to do? He would want to see what all the artists are doing. He would want us to see the success of the project. So we memorialized them in what we were doing and just sort of called on their energy to kind of, you know, give us a push. And that's kind of how we've dealt with it, you know, in the few times that we've had to go.
All right. Listen, I blame Jay. That's all your fault. Making people relive these moments. Jay, what's wrong with you? Throw that guy with some money.
Yeah, my Kickstarter's live, Jay. Let me give you the link.
There you go. To make him feel
Thank
better.
you.
That's how you do it. All right. Marcus, what are your thoughts on the subject?
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's something that unfortunately I did have experience with last year. I had my aunt who was, you know, very close to me, and I spent a lot of time with her growing up. She had passed away while I had both a Kickstarter and a convention coming up. So to do things properly and pay my proper respects to her, that would have meant canceling everything and then dropping it and being with my family during that time period. And I believe in the thing that kind of brought everything to mind for Jay. You know, I told him, you know, family before everything, and, you know, try to march on and do it. But that's not what I did. I, you know, buried my feelings at the time, and as distraught as I was, and much as I wanted to be with my family at that point in time, I carried on with my plans. I did that Kickstarter, and I did that convention, not just because I have people relying on me, and I am a lean operation. You know, we got 2 contributing editors at Odyssey, but every book design, every Kickstarter, all the graphic design for the Kickstarters, website operations, communications, marketing, all comes from one dude. Right. So I got to be on, or everything else is off. But on top of that, a lot of my fandom and a lot of the things that I'm passionate about and that got me into this industry, you know, I share with my aunt. You know, while she was watching me as a kid, you know, she is putting on Ninja Turtles for me, and we sit there watching together, watching Batman '89 together, you know, partaking and sharing in those things together. She is getting me the G.I. Joes and the Ninja Turtles and everything every Christmas, and making sure that I have those and things like that. I knew that absolutely everyone would understood I've had to cancel and change the plans. So I had to shift things around, move that Kickstarter, cancel that convention and everything. But I know my aunt would have wanted me to be at those things and be doing those things and doing what I loved, and, you know, doing what I need to do and put those things out there in the world. So even when I didn't necessarily even want to do it, I carried on, like Tom said, in spirit of that person and what they would have wanted in that sort of situation. And I have no doubt in my mind, no doubt in my bones or soul that my aunt would have wanted me to push on. And then that kind of helped me get past it too. You know, I'm from South Side Chicago. Death ain't nothing new, unfortunately. And I've found that the only times that I'm really able to carry on is when I have something to focus on. The grieving can come later, but when there's work to do and something I can bury my mind in and focus at that point in time and push forward and push through that initial stage of grief or pain, wherever the case may be, then that's what I gotta do for myself also. And then once my emotions are settled, it's much easier for me to, have the mindset to properly mourn that person and carry on.
Okay.
But yeah, screw you, JD. Why are you bringing this stuff up?
I'm happy I'm not the only one who feels this way, but okay.
We're all gonna need a Percocet after this.
Michael, how you feeling about it?
So I honestly, I think Marcus, Tom, and Dave have actually given a pretty fantastic answer, and each in their own right. I think that all of them kind of hit the majority of the right points. I think that, first, depending on what the crisis is, if it's big enough, you got to take the time. The past 3-4 years for me have been like one runaway truck after another, right? Like my marriage fell apart, I went through a custody fight, and that process led me to making the Embrace. But then, like this past year, realized I wasn't happy with my job. I ended up losing that job. I was without a job for 3 months. That was more than I could handle. So I stepped away. I had a book that I had to fulfill. I let my backers know that I wasn't in a good place and that I needed to focus on getting better first. And, that's what I did. And then I came back. I fulfilled my book. I'm launching another one. Everybody has their own limits, and there's no one that can tell you what you need for that except for you. But, ultimately, whatever the loss is, whether it's the loss of a person or a loss of a relationship or a loss of a job, you have to, if this is what you want to do, you got to keep rolling, and there comes a point where, as Tom said, where you got to get back on the horse, and you got to be honest with yourself and honest with the collaborators you're working with about what that time is going to be. Because at the end of the day, when you've already put so much of yourself out there into this, it's a damn tragedy. The real damn tragedy would be allowing that loss to completely strip you of that voice, to completely strip you of the creations that you're putting out there. So, like, if it's a loss that can fuel you creatively, funnel it there. That's what I did with the Embrace, and that blew up. If it's too much, take the time. Focus on yourself, reset, and come back swinging.
Now we talk about Dial of Destiny.
Yeah. And I want to echo what he just said, but before I do that, I want to say thank you to everybody for sharing your experiences. And if y'all need, anyone to talk to, please reach out. I'm here for you. Everybody else who's on the panel, I'm sure, is here for you. Having said that, let me echo what he said. Everybody is different. Everybody handles things different, whether it's their happiness, whether it's their sadness, whether it's how they are affected when they're devastated. The past few years for me have been probably the worst years of my life. I've gone through a divorce. I've gone through hospital stay after hospital stay after hospital stay. And in all honesty, one of the reasons that I put out my first book was because of mental illness. And I was ready to give up on, writing my first comic. And instead I decided to double down because I wanted to help other people. Considering what I was going through at the time and everything that started happening, especially that happened to me the past 2 years, whether it was a hospital stays with my kids and me being a single father after such an event, it was a devastating thing. And unlike most people, I didn't want to shy away from things. I wanted to jump into it to keep my mind off of things. That's why I doubled down and actually put out my first book whenever my first script kind of got stalled. So how do you handle it? It really depends on the person. If you need time, take a step back and reset. It's okay not to be okay. If you need to reach out and talk to people, there are people who are here for you. Whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, or if it's a stranger. If you need to do that, if you need to contact that person, hey, there's no shame in that. Like I said, it really depends on who the person is. I personally, like I said, I tried to keep my mind off of all the bad things that were happening to me. So I gave myself like a certain amount of hours throughout the day to concern myself with the situations that were going on. At one point, I was stuck in the hospital for 4 or 5 days with one of my kids. But, while they were sleeping and I couldn't do anything but sit there, I would have my laptop and I would write. Or I would talk to my editor on my phone, because other than that, all I was doing is worrying. So, like you said, it really depends on the person. Take time if you need it. Find something to distract you if you need that too. But do what you need to do.
I mean, for myself, I've only ever had like 2 situations. It was when my father passed away, and basically when that occurred, I'm the type of person that I need my art, right? I need my writing, right? That's my release. That's where I bury myself. So it's like I focus. It actually made me refocus on my writing. You understand that grieving period? I was just like, okay, let's just focus. The other time that something like similar happened was my artist had gotten hurt, right? And this goes to what Tom was going through. It was like the team. My artist had hurt herself. She literally broke her wrist, right, in her drawing hand. And she was like, "Look, I'll understand if you want to get another artist." She says it's going to take 3 or 4 months before this heals up. And I was like, no. I was like, you heal, and when you're ready, you let me know. And that happened 8 years ago, maybe, for her, and we're still working with one another. I believe in that certain level of loyalty. You understand? And and it's we've been together this long, and however long we're gonna be together after this. You know what I mean? So I mean, yeah, it's one of those things for me. Is like, for me, my art is my center, right? I mean, I only have 2 centers. It's weird, right? I got Daphne and I got my art, right? And as long as I have those 2 things, I can kind of like pull myself together in some form, So as long as I got that, I can pull myself together. But yeah, I mean, but you do have to give yourself that time and that space to be able to do it, But it's it's like everybody else. It's tough. It sucks, Sucks.
Yeah.
All right, Jay, answer your own damn question, Mr. Happy Times.
I want to say from the beginning, thank you everybody for sharing. There were some deep personal elements to everybody's story, and thank you for that. I didn't expect that to come out. I was coming at it from a purely logistical standpoint, and the fact that everybody shared, their personal moments means a lot. It means a lot. So, here I am, and I don't have to worry about taking time for myself, because my mind is in a constant mode of distress, right? I'm like that scene in the Hulk. I'm always angry. I'm always fucked up. So that's not a problem for me to operate in those conditions. But when I'm being that rock for somebody else, it was hard for me to focus on a campaign while being that rock, right? I can't take away time from my loved one that needed me to be there, and also be there for the community that has helped support me all these years, right? So that's where I took the break from. But in moments forward, how do we find ways to keep the lights on in moments of these distress, right? Do we have books ready to go that are in the drawer, right? So that way, when somebody needs time to heal, or God forbid, we are searching for our next collaborator who was unable to perform or unable to be here, right? And gives us that time to find that person while we continue with our endeavors. Not trying to be cold or callous when I'm bringing that up, right? I'm just trying to figure out how do we avoid that gap, because for a lot of people, this is their only source of income, right? So how do you keep that gap of income from forming while you also deal with taking care of either yourself or your loved ones? That's what I'm still trying to figure out. I don't know.
Gotcha. Now, just to be clear, I hope you mean your artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, you wouldn't be as big as you are if this was your only source of income.
Well played, JD.
You know what? Oh my god!
Well played.
Oh man! I hope you lose power tonight. Yeah.
Look, after all this talk, we all had to laugh for just a little. I'm sorry.
That's great. That's great. Get to the camp. Get to the campaign.
Marcus,
Hey, what's that?
you're up. Critical Mass.
Yes, sir. Critical Mass. This is kind of been my pet project for the last 2 years or so. I know at the very inception of Odyssey, I've always wanted to do either a magazine or an anthology of some sort. So I decided to do an anthology magazine, much in the spirit of heavy metal or 2000 AD, but kind of with my own bent to it, kind of aiming for, the synth wave, retro futurism stuff that I love so much. And Critical Mass was born from that. So this is a magazine that includes over 25, I think almost 30 creators in total, all contributing original stories. Folks like Mr. David Doub here, doing Gemini Force, story that we'll feature in there. We really got a lot of some of the best talents that you'll find in indie comics, and this is turning out to be a sensational project that we're really hoping to get funded. We're about 4 days in, about 1/3 funded so far. Looking to kick that up a little bit of a notch, but right now we're right on trend for where we need to be. Right now, what you see here is Autonomous from JJ Lopez and Rob Pilkington. This is an amazing concept, an amazing book that we're glad to have part of the story too. We also have a synthwave EP that we put together in the same spirit of Critical Mass, the magazine. We put that same process in the music. So went out collaborating with 5 different musicians on a synthwave EP that serves as the soundtrack to Critical Mass. And it's something that we hope to continue at the very least annually. And every time we release a new volume of Critical Mass, we'll have a new EP for music that will also go along with it too.
Nice. Now, how did that factor in as far as the music with the work?
With the work, we really just tried to go for a vibe. We had a lot of different tracks and things like that we were looking at, but tried to nail down. And me and the man, Chill Collins, who's also contributing to the project with his album Dark Star Anthologies and both the comic and the album itself, really trying to find something that felt on par for the emotions and some of the projects that we had with it. So while there were some tracks that I would say were better, and we could have made like just an absolute jaw-dropping like banger of an album of just songs and tracks, they weren't necessarily reflecting the tone of the project fully. And I think right now we have the gamut between darker themes, lighter projects, more fun things, and the EP itself also reflects that. When you play it, you can virtually feel which song goes with which story, and really serve as a background and the soundtrack to that individual story. So that's how we put it together, and I think it really nailed it overall.
Nice. Now, I see you got like I said, you had like 25 different creators or a bunch of different stories in here. Now, where did you find all of these various artists or how did you put the word out?
Well, we had open submissions. So when I had it, we just put it out to everybody. But in the process of going through Odyssey and building Odyssey up, of course, we have a tremendous amount of talent that's already under our banner. So while we are also looking to bring in new people and new voices, a lot of this book is also put together and showcasing the talent that's already in Odyssey. In some cases where people didn't have artists or needed additional talent to get either their script pitch or they were pitching as artists and needed a story to get attached to, we also help put all those teams together and get everybody on the on the same page and do some additional editing and curation. So it was me and then our contributing editor Devin Narscott, who were going over every submission, seeing what'll work with this, what'll work with that one. We had a lot more stories we could have added to it, but we really tried to nail a solid balance of different tones and moods. Some things were a little bit too samey. Some things were a little bit, not quite on trend for where the overall product was going. So those are some tough decisions about where we had to scale back and what would be included or what would not be included. And I think those are something that I didn't feel comfortable doing unilaterally. I wanted to make sure that was part of like a team effort and I was getting opinions and thoughts from another trusted editor when it came to that.
Cool. Now I see another name on here that's on the panel, Mr. David Doub. So, David, like what was your inspiration for this story?
Actually, that's the funny thing is because this is more Terry Parr's baby. Okay. I'm with a studio called Show Enough Studios, and Terry and Halo Parr, they're the founders, and I kind of joined in because I've pitched out with them a lot, helping them out with things. And Terry, he loves that 80s sort of crazy energy. He his main book, Row Beside the Extreme Ninja Workout, it's about this girl who gets ninja powers through a mixtape that she inherited from her brother, and she has to fight ninjas. And this is kind of a play off of that, towards kind of in the future. And Gemini Force is these two party girls that love to rock out, and they're in a band. They're just going from gig to gig, getting into more and more zaniness, but also trying to figure out their past because they're clones and they don't know what they're who they're cloned from. So since we're both kids of the 80s, we just take it and have fun with it. So it's all that sort of thing. We got we put Streets of Rage homage in there. We put in Streets of Fire homage because we didn't have enough street homages in there. We're just having a good 80s fun. So it's definitely Terry's baby, but I know the language he's speaking because I've worked with him long enough. So I help him out with this book. And I actually know Marcus through, I pitched to him another book I did called Little Deaths, which is kind of a different play on a heavy metal sort of the magazine, not the music story, more of historical fantasy thing. And then I was showing him all of Terry's stuff, and Marcus was like, "Oh, I love it." It's like, dude, he's
as soon as I saw it, I was like,
all over the place.
Gotta get it.
Yeah.
Not
many
people know Streets of Fire references, dude.
No, I didn't either. Terry turned it on to me. And
you didn't?
I didn't know it was really.
Oh, Michael Paray's best work. I'm sorry. That was a
dude. I have the steel book for Streets of Fire in my thing.
Hey, Tom, I was hoping you'd chime in. I knew you were going to chime in.
It was sad. Of course, I was able to.
I shouldn't have.
To sneak my own story in there. I still got to remind people that I am an artist and writer sometimes on top of doing the publishing stuff. So it was really cool to be able to have the initial story with that one.
Which one was you? Did I?
Oh, that one right there. Scroll down.
No, the Blondie, the cover image.
Oh yeah, the one inspired by the cover image, or the one the cover image inspired.
Oh, this one. Okay. Oh yeah, there's your name. Marcus. There you go. So Marcus, what inspired you to do this one?
This is the one. We only had one story when I originally came up with Critical Mass, and that was mine. and actually is something that went over numerous amounts of like rewrites that I had to do and taking new angles at it. But it was something that I would just want to lead off with because it would give the vibe. And when I would pitch it to people, they would understand it. So the story is centered on a future where people don't die necessarily. They do die, but they are allowed to clone themselves and have a new lease on life. And a struggling actress trying to find out the mystery surrounding her rebirth and regeneration and what has led to that.
Yeah. Very nice. Very cool. Yeah, man. I mean, look, you got a lot of awesome artwork in here. I mean, you said it's 100
we got
pages?
it's over 100 pages. These are a couple of features that we have. So we have Arthur Bruin. He is we're doing a feature on his comic book, California Inc. He's a fellow that I got to meet at San Diego RocketCon. He's a great talent. Told me about his Kickstarter that he had coming up. I told him, I'll check it out. And I'm sitting here with the book myself, and I was like, this is a great science fiction story that I would love to discuss in critical mass and share with more people. And he's been so kind to be able to agree to an interview with me and share his thoughts on both the project and the science fiction genre as a whole.
Yeah, very cool.
We've gone through some of our covers. Of course, the excellent Terry Parr was able to lend us a cover inspired by Gemini Force and featuring Gemini Force. I knew it, of course, as soon as we had the project in, I wanted to make it one of the features. He's just brilliant. His artwork speaks for itself. It's personally the sort of artwork that when I'm looking for projects, I'm looking for something to read, I get into.
Yeah, it's
Now,
a
you
thing for
mentioned there
good
it's
girl
over
art.
100 pages, but how many different stories are in it?
There are 9 stories in total. And most of them, I think the shortest one is 8 pages. So they're all 8 to 12 pages in length.
Cool.
Of course, we got
Now,
some
how did
mock-ups of our albums.
Wait a second. What is that? A CD or a DVD?
That is a disc. A cassette right there.
that's a cassette?
So
That's
Chill
a mixtape.
Collins, who helped out with the music and the writer behind Dark Star Anthologies. He also has a concept synthwave album of the same name. So we're going to be putting out a comic book later this year that is the story of the Dark Star Anthologies, the actual album that he has. And he has some cassettes for the album made up, and those are for the highest tiers. You get both our EP and you get to set some old school retro futurism vibes to be able to pop that in.
Very cool.
Very nice, yeah. That is awesome, man. I mean, yeah. What is it? You got another 29 days?
Yeah, still got almost another, 29 by Kickstarter's days, but 30 actually. 30 real days for the project to be up. We know it's going to be a long haul. This is our first anthology. Kickstarter is not doing the best of job of featuring us in their algorithm right now, but we've been able to do a lot just with Odyssey's base level of support and getting the word out and everybody shared into the project. So we're on trend to hit funding. We just want to keep pushing there because I love to include the additional story and the stretch goals that we want to go for, and also include like the extra tracks. We're going to do additional stretch goals for physical rewards too. We also got stuff that's going to be revealed later. We'll have another cover that we'll also be revealing soon coming up this week, and just keep on with this thing. I want this to be something that we could put out once or twice a year to be a regular thing and sort of Odyssey's marquee project that sort of attracts more people and leads more people and has a little bit more crossover appeal with the music component to it, so people can come to our books and see what we're doing and see what sort of the future is going to have in store for Odyssey too.
Yeah, very cool. Well, listen, man. I mean, you're well on your way. You're a third way there, so I mean,
third of the way there. So fingers crossed.
No, you'll make it. You'll make it. I think it's like everything else. You'll slog your way through it. But you'll make it. Which is, I mean, because it looks awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, I think we're one of the stronger anthologies and things like that on Kickstarter. So we just want to keep spreading the word, get some more eyes on it, and I think we have enough put together right now, where I might put a little bit of a preview together for it. The book is about 80% done. Actually, there's only really 2 stories, mine and one more, that would even be waiting for any more sequential art. So we'd be looking at really fast fulfillment on the anthology, which a lot of us know is not typically the norm when it comes to the indie comic space and the Kickstarter space.
So you're the one putting the anthology together, and you're the one not done with your own project?
Yeah, of course. It only makes sense.
That's like a car mechanic. His car is trashed, you know, and,
Right.
and
Too busy fixing other people's
That's right.
heaps of shit.
Yep. All right, Tom.
okay, hold on. Put me back on the full screen for a second, real quick,
Hold on.
because we got to start with this. If you don't know Ellen Aim, you need to find out. This is what we've been talking about, folks. Go find the movie. It's not gonna. You're gonna enjoy it. It's real. It's Willem Dafoe in a plastic jumpsuit. You're gonna like it. And remember, I hate everything, right? So if I like it, you're gonna be fine.
You're gonna love it. We guarantee it.
That's right.
No, it really is. Come on, it's a good movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
It
But
is.
then again, I was 13 when I saw it.
It's an 80s movie. I mean, it is an 80s movie, man. But, you know, if you like just 80s as a sort of a genre, you like a little bit of singing, you like a good looking girl, you like dudes punching each other out, you're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Moranis, that's correct, Daphne. Rick Moranis, yeah.
Yes. All right. So what do we got here, Tom? I see BDI 13.
Yeah, BD 13
Yeah,
anthology. This is our official 13-year anniversary project for this year. So 13 years of Big Dog Inc. We started in 2010 with Penny for Your Soul and Critter. We've grown exponentially since then. 13 years, 14 different titles, 2 more different titles, brand new, starting up in the next couple of years. Superheroes, Westerns, horror, fantasy, kaiju, jungle girls, historical fiction, everything. And so this is going to be a 3-story anthology from the pages of some of our other books. So the first one that you're looking at here, this is Yeehaw Vampires. This is a spin-off from our horror book called Ursa Minor, which is Vampires, Werewolves. Our lead character is Naomi, the last of the Werebears. This is one of the few times that other people get to write our books. So we also have, along with me, the next, as you scroll down, this is pages from Yeehaw Vampires, of course. Then we have Pat Shand joining us again. He wrote Slipstream about 11 years ago, a one-shot, and then he also wrote a 2-issue Scarecrow miniseries, which was a spinoff from our Legend of Oz book. And so I reached out to him and I was like, hey, do you want to do a thing? And he was like, yeah, can I do Slipstream? Yes, you can. So he came back. This is his second Slipstream book. Again, art here. This is Jason HEIR, Chris Chua. Give you an idea of what the book looks like. So we have a vampire story. We have a superhero story, as you can see here. Dun, dun, dun. And then we have Stephanie Menard joining us for the first time, writing Princesses versus Zombies. And this is the first appearance of our brand new Princess Jasmine, who will become part of our zombie fighting team in November when we bring Princess versus Zombies #2 out. This is her sort of origin story within our zombie world that we're creating and building. And then she'll become part of the larger team in November.
Ooh,
And this is Chow Mahato. So this is what the Princess versus Zombies book normally looks like. This is Chow Mahato and Chris Chua. So it's the same team as the other books. So it blends in perfectly for those that have already read Princess versus Zombies. It's the same exact art team. And we introduce Jasmine. So yeah, so it's going to be 3 stories. Each of them is going to be 10 pages each. They're Yeehaw Vampires and Zombies are already done artistically. We have colors being finished on them, and then we'll be at letters. So by the time the campaign ends in about 3 weeks, the whole thing should be done, and it'll be a turn and burn fulfillment for you guys. We've already unlocked 2 stretch goals. So Bun Leung returns with us. He's the king of chibis. So we've been doing chibis with him every campaign for a couple of years. So the first one is Jasmine on her carpet there. Those will all be 5-inch magnets. And then the second one is that we're adding pages into the book. So this is a bonus pinup by Narcelio Sousa. That's just sample art. That's a piece he's already done. What we're doing is we're letting people within the campaign vote for what character they want him to draw, and then that will be done and put into the campaign. So that one is unlocked, and the next one is at 13,000, which is about, I don't know, $1,300 away. So we should be hitting that within a couple of days. That'll be the slipstream. And then we've got another pinup we can add to the book. And then we've got the last of the magnets. And then there'll be more stretch goals if we get that far, of course. And then here's our covers. This is what we're all here for, basically, right? So this is our basic, our A cover, logo edition. All the characters put together. That's Jason HEIR, Elenia DiNapoli. Ed Loveley made our logo, which is awesome. So that's your basic, your A cover. If you just want to read the book, we got you covered. There are digital editions too. So if you're like out of country and you don't want to spend like $25 on shipping, we got digitals for you too. The three primary variants all have the individual logos. But then underneath the little art box there, it has the BD13 logo as well. So that's Yeehaw Vampires by Fabio Samao, Elenia DiNapoli on the art, on the colors. This is MR Gunn, who's become a regular of ours for the past couple of years. All these are limited to 100 copies, by the way. And the $25, that includes your shipping as well. So it's not 25 plus another like $8. It's just $25. That's your cost, and you're done. And then here is Mars Fung, one of the recent artists that I found, who's just amazing. I love this cover so much. Had to figure out how to like do a flying carpet cover in a reality world. Like, how do you make a carpet fly? So I was like, oh, why don't we like tie her up into the tree so she can be hanging like a hammock above the zombies? And she did a great job. I love it. The perspective's great.
Mm-hmm. That's really nice. That's gorgeous.
And then, so we decided, so this is so BD13 was supposed to be like PG-13, right? So we decided to embrace the PG-13 and do what we call the fan service covers, get a little more risque. So there is Narcelio Sousa with Blue Jay and Critter. Elenia DiNapoli on colors. This is Keith Garvey. Incidentally, guys, this cover you're looking at right now is officially sold out. It's gone in less than 36 hours. This is kaput.
No
The
more.
only way you can get, it's gone. The only way to get this cover now is to buy the all-in pack that has all 9 covers. It's still a part of that package, but to get it singly, they're gone. I just was looking at this today, and they're already gone. So sorry. You can still get the holofoil version, but the regular editions are all gone. Then there's the Blue Jay set. So this is our social media superhero. Brian Peterson's been drawing her for a while. We've got tons of Blue Jay stuff planned that people haven't even seen. So you're getting the set here. This is one of the rare times that we do a topless cover too. We almost never do these things. And so it was funny when we announced it, people started freaking out. Like, what do you mean? What's going on? And that was awesome because you want these things to be sort of like an event. If it happens, if it's just like, oh yeah, there's some more boobs on Tom stuff. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. So that was fun to do. And then we have our mystery box. Marissa Pope's been doing these for us, our TikTok style covers. So the mystery box has 10 books in it. You're going to get 8 variant covers from 8 different titles that we do. So it's a great starter pack as well. Then you're going to get 1 super variant, which is going to be like a metal or a holofoil or an artist edition, something that's like less than 50 copies. And then you'll get that TikTok cover by Marissa Pope, which there's only 50 of those. We make 50 boxes. There's 50 of those books. That's it. They're gone. And then we have been putting magnets into them, but this time we have one of these types of things right there, which is like these 5-inch acrylic figures. So we've added a brand new acrylic figure into the box, and those are part of those box sets. And then here's the whole set. Just grab all 9 of them all together. Boom. In, out, done. You get all the stretch goals. Again, the $200, it includes your shipping. There's no extra costs. It's just, you get all the books, you get the acrylic figure, you get all the extra goodies, everything in one shot. Then we did so we do a lot of like special days, like every day on the calendar is something. It's Batman Day and, Gone with Fishing Day and 4th of July and whatever. And so we've been doing a lot of weird specialty days like Princess Day and Goth Day and Alien Abduction Day. So July 11th is actually Cow Appreciation Day. This is not a joke. That's a real thing. And so I was like, Brian, we gotta do something for Cow Appreciation Day. Let's put Blue Jay in the spots. We'll call her Moo Jay, and we'll do a cow appreciation cover. He was like, yeah. So there's our Moo Jay cover for Cow Appreciation Day.
Nice.
From the Water. So this is the full title is called It's Only an Island If You Look at It from the Water. This is my Jaws sort of fan fiction. It's like, what would Jaws be if we were to do Jaws 5? I've had this story in my head for a long time. Universal doesn't care. So I was like, well, I'm going to make the appropriate changes and just tell this story and get it out there. So we've already put this book out, but the original print runs are sold out. So we're doing a second printing. There's a little bit of an artistic change on the inside. So it is sort of a remastered interior, brand new cover. And we're going to reveal that you can buy this right now. This is already available for pledge or add-on. But we'll reveal the cover on the 22nd, which is the official 40th anniversary of Jaws 3D. Nice. So we'll have that available. Well, it's available now, but we'll reveal it in about 2 weeks. And then the specialty editions are our holofoils. If you just want the Catnip and you don't want all the other books, there you go. You can get the holofoil Catnip by Marissa Pope all by itself. Foils and metals are all printed to order. There's a Moo Jay holofoil edition. That is the only way to get this book individually now, is the holofoil edition of the Keith Garvey book. That is it, the regular edition. Now, people will drop out. That's going to happen. So if you are watching the dropouts, it could appear and be available. But for right now, the holofoils are the only way to get it individually. Then we have the Blue Jay and Critter metal cover. And then we have the fan service metal cover. Dun, dun, dun. Again, all printed to order, guys. Printed to order. So if we get orders for 12, we're making 12. And then if you're not familiar with Big Dog Ink., we've got all the trade paperbacks and stuff that we do, all the back issues, so that you can get started figuring out what you like in the Big Dog Ink. worlds. Critter trade paperback, Ursa Minor trade paperback, Kaiju Epic #1, Princesses versus Zombies quick catch up. That's the 3 issues that exist right now. And we'll have the next issue in November. Antoinette #1 that I did with Ryan Kincaid. Joan of Arc trade paperback. Lights Camera Jungle issue 1. So lots of just, jumping into the Big Dog Ink. universe. We did throw a few graded books up for sale as well. So if you guys are into the graded stuff, we have an Ebass Legend of Oz. We have a Kale New holofoil Emerald edition. We have Jesse Witchman on Critter. We have Scheherazade by Mike DeBolfo. Penny for Your Soul, that is Bastet by Mike Chrome. And Ursa Minor by Jose Luis. And again, even that price, that $135, that'll include your shipping, which will be, priority mail in a box. It will be taken care of. We're not going to be sending you broken slabs. And then we've got a bunch of art prints. So this is Nia Rufino. This was part of a set. So it's called As Above. And then you scroll down, So Below. So you can get the Fallen Angel or the Heavenly Angel.
Cool.
Then we have Marie Antoinette by Sora Sung. The Todd McFarlane homage. This was a cover we did back in our early days. And we had people asking about it. So I was like, well, we can turn it into a print, but the book's long gone, dude. So we turned it into a print. We have Mrs. White from Princesses versus Zombies. That's Marta Nael. And then we have Mike Chrome with Glinda from our Legend of Oz series. And that is your campaign. We just launched yesterday, so we're officially in our day 2, our first 36 hours. Like I said, the Keith Garvey's already sold out. We're pushing almost 12,000 now. Let's do a refresh. We're at 11,781. We just got a backer right now. $11,781. So we're about $1,200 away from unlocking the third stretch goal, which will get you another magnet, slipstream magnet. And yeah, we're rolling along. It's been fun to do with extra writers. We've had other writers come into Big Dog Inc. over the years, but kind of few and far between. Even when we were doing like 3 or 4 books a month, but since we've been doing Kickstarters, there really hasn't been a spot for it. So this was kind of fun to be able to create a book that I could let other people come in and have a little fun with what we do.
All right, cool. I mean, listen, you're already funded. You're probably gonna make 30 grand on this thing. So
No way.
I don't know.
No way. We have an outside chance at maybe about 20 on this, I'd guess. But we've had a great start, and we appreciate all the 167 people that have already chimed in. But yeah, it's like I said, the book is about 80% finished. So by the time we're done with the campaign, the book will be done, and we'll just be going off to the printer. So this will be a really quick turnaround, which will be fun.
All right, cool. I mean, you got 22 more days, so you're well on your way. I mean, I don't know what to say, Tom. You always put out a good book, so.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I hope so. I hope so. We try hard, try to make try to make it look visually cool. We try to get, I try to write good stuff, but when I bring in other writers, I bring them in because I feel like, they've got something to say with our books. Pat was really excited to come back to Slipstream. So that was really great. And I've already been talking to him about potentially doing some more, because as we bring the Critterverse back next year, and Antarctic Press. So next year, the Critterverse comes back on Kickstarter with new issues from us on Kickstarter. But then Antarctic Press is going to be publishing the series as well from issue 1. They're just going to be starting at 1 and running it monthly. So that's going to be really great. And so I talked to Pat about like, hey, let's talk about how we can expand the Critterverse beyond just her series. And he was really interested in what I had to say. So I think we're going to have a really interesting 2026, which will be our 16-year anniversary. But so yeah, that's how far ahead we're planning. We're already in 2026 trying to figure things out.
Nice. Well, listen, man, you got to look forward thinking, right?
Absolutely, yeah. One of the crazy things was the shark book. So we're going to put that out actually as our first graphic novel next year. We're not going to put it out as issues. It's actually going to be like 100 pages. Just boom, here's the whole book at one time. Or not next year, but in 2025 for our 15-year anniversary. That also happens to be the 50th anniversary of Jaws. So we're going to have some really nice, ability to kind of market within that realm too. That'll be fun.
Shit, that's right.
Yeah, we're old, Jay.
Yes, we are.
I was born the year Jaws came out, man. I'm going to be 50 in 2 years. Jesus Christ. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We're old. I know you mentioned the Streets of Fire. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm in a part of Brooklyn where Streets of Fire nobody knows about. You know what I mean?
How can they not know about it? Oh, it's upside down.
Oh my God. Oh my God. But Daphne was throwing up in the comments. Streets of Fire love. And I'm like, yes. All right.
Thanks. Mr. Oden.
Hey, what's up?
You are up, sir. You are up.
This is me. Oh my
This
goodness.
is you, sir. Yes.
We actually even had one backer within this point in time, so we're officially over 6K. But yeah. So this is anybody who knows me knows that there are a few characters from the mainstream that I adore, and one of them is the Shadow. And so, in one of my random Shadow research things about like trying to figure out when he goes into public domain, everything like that, because we all have dreams. I discovered that there is a character from a silent film in 1916 that is potentially one of the inspirations of the Shadow, called Judex. And the more that I kind of learned about this character, the more I thought, you know what, I could really take this character and make him into something else, and make him and kind of write somewhat of a Shadow story, but really pay homage to all of like the pulp noir style storytelling that I've really enjoyed. And so I took this character who is like very small scale, kind of Edmond Dantes kind of character that was just trying to get revenge, and I turned him into a cultural defender of Paris during the Nazi occupation in the 1940s. And my initial script that I wrote, I was going to be working with a different artist who wanted me to write my script in like a very prose style. And so when we parted ways with that artist, I went to my friend Aaron Neff over at Global Frequency, and I had him take a look at it, and I said, all right, do you think that this is something that we could do? And Neff was like, this is a fantastic story. And so I did what I do best, and I went and I found an artist from the deep recesses of ArtStation and Facebook indie comic groups, found Fabrizio Ugolini, who's done stuff for Heavy Metal and a few other major publications. And we got him to do this beautiful black and white 1930s style film comic book art to really capture the atmosphere. And then, we Neff and I kind of worked together to rework the script so that way it would be more like a traditional comic script. And this has been the result, and it's the first kind of step in a partnership between Global Frequency and Nine Realms Publishing in terms of putting out projects together. And I mean, the results so far have been outstanding. Like, we were expecting a strong launch, but like not to this degree. And we've been, and especially since he and I were both kind of out of town, and we didn't get to do as much pre-promotion as we would normally have liked. To have this kind of a start was just fantastic. And we're offering a lot of great value on the campaign, and a story that's, I think, going to knock people's socks off. This is a really well done story between, I like to think that I'm a pretty solid writer in my own right, and Neff is a hell of a vicious editor, and we've, I think, made something special here. And it translates in how it translates in the words and in how Fabrizio's rendered the story to life. I mean, you've got these great pages. We put a whole bunch of pages from the first issue up here so that people could see just what we were going for here. And I think that it just absolutely speaks volumes for it. But yeah,
it looks great. This is really, really nice, man.
Thank you. Yes.
So how many pages is the first issue?
The first issue is 30 pages, 25 pages of a main story and a 5-page epilogue. We have a basic level, like you just get the physical book, no stretch goals, everything like that. That's like $10, and that gives you no shipping. So like for $10 with no shipping, you get the book just straight to you. And then we build up from there. And we've really brought in a whole bunch of things. We brought in Von Klaus and his art team from his rework of the Black Terror character from the Golden Age. And we did a crossover with Judex, and that has been a blast to do. Von's script for that was really fun and was paced really well. And then we've got some great variant covers. We've got an Alex Ross Shadow homage cover by Erwin J. Rosa. We've got a awesome black and white glow in the dark and spot embossed cover by Russ Leach with Judex looking into his orb with the Eiffel Tower behind him.
Nice. Well, I mean, listen, man, it looks really, really nice. I mean, this is the Rosa. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, man, it looks awesome. When is the book done in its entirety? Is it, like, ready?
So like, I want to say Fabrizio has most of the main story done, and he's about to start on the 5-page epilogue, and then we're going to go back through and do some like minor consistency edits,
Right.
to make sure that everything's good to go. But our goal is to have a physical proof of this in hand by the time we reach our second 30 days to get our 60 days on Indiegogo.
Gotcha. Okay. Listen, man, it looks really, really. No, and here's the other question. So this is the Rustage.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. So, is this a limited series? How many issues are you looking to? Is the series, or is this just a one shot?
No, there's going to be more Judex. The idea is to take the story at least through a storyline through obviously the liberation of Paris, because like the whole kind of point of this character is, he is a defender of French culture, but he's also like he's trying to stoke the flames of revolution in his people. Like you've got the Nazis have been walking around, have taken over Paris at this point in time, and there's just a deadness in the city, and so he's trying to get people to resist, trying to get people to stand up and do something. And one of the things that's unique is like, in this first book, we've got this character, Officer Javert, who is kind of the focal point of it. And he is a French citizen that's just kind of gone along with the occupation. And so Judex is going to be judging his actions. That's what he is. Judex is Latin for judge. And so he's there to, bear witness to why this guy has done what he's done and judge whether or not that, judge what his punishment should be. And it's a very interesting story, and we have a lot more interesting stories planned for Judex. But like the question of will it go past the first storyline is still up in the air. We've got some fun ideas, but like mainly we want to focus on telling this story on him and this building of a revolution in France.
Cool. Let's see, you're well on your way. You're almost at 6K, so you're 59.49.
We're actually, if you refresh the page, we're 6,000 and we're 6,009 at this point. But
my computer's it's been acting up as usual.
It's all good. These things happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. It's 6,009, 62 back. It's cool. I mean, it looks awesome, man. I mean, it looks really, really nice. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, you're well on your way, so you're probably gonna do extremely well with this.
You're
already doing good.
That is the goal.
Exactly. Nice. So I mean, all right, cool. All right. So we're all through the campaigns now. Paul, you're up. What's your question?
Man, you know me. I always have tons of questions to ask. I really didn't know which one to ask, so I'm going to ask this one. This one question. So I get a lot of people asking me, how do I start out making comics? What advice would I give, to them as new creators? And usually my advice is simply this, think about the page count. Did y'all start thinking about the page count when you first created your comic? Did you figure out, if you were going to make this to go into a comic store, or was it just, hey, whatever it is what it is?
Good question. I like that one. Tom, how did you start? How did you first start out?
Yeah, when I started, I just kind of looked at comics that I had collected, and I saw that they were roughly about 22 pages a shot of story. There was ads and stuff in them, but as far as the story goes, this is generally about 22 pages. So I was like, well, I guess that's what a comic book is. So I just started doing 22 pages as our norm. But as a writer, there have definitely been times where I'm just like, no, I'm the boss. I can do whatever I want. So I'm going to make this 28 pages this time. I'm going to make this one 30 pages, whatever it is, because I need it. And so there's definitely a little bit of weirdness, from issue to issue, but the average for us was about 22 pages. And that just seemed to make sense to me. So that's just kind of what we've kind of always rolled with is roughly about that many pages.
All right, cool. Marcus?
Yeah, for me, it's always trying to find something that was going to give the story enough breadth and do it justice, while not feeling excessive. And that generally came out to be like around 28-page comic. So you'll typically people see like on Nobody's Princess and UBs and things like that we've done. Those are charting around 28 to 30 pages. And really, I think the shortest ones that we've probably done have been about 22 to 24 pages. So, I mean, I know a lot of publishers out there will try to wrangle people into 18 pages, try to keep them on the shorter side. Me, I just want to make sure that, yes, it's economical for us to do it from that standpoint, but also we're not cutting the reader short and cutting them out of anything that, is necessary for the story to give the proper amount of time that it needs to really settle in and be effective.
Let me say this real quick, because we've done, like I said, our general is 22. We've done 36. We've done 40. We've done 8, right? 8-page mini stories, right? Just not as an anthology, but just here's 8 pages. There's a little mini story. I have never one time had anyone be unhappy that it was 8, 22, or 40. I have never one time had anyone be excited that it was 8, 22, or 40. Like, it doesn't seem to matter. Like, as long as the content that they get, they're happy with, even if it's 8 pages, they're like, yo, that was a fun little story. Glad I got in. Show me what's next. So that's, just something to throw out there. I mean, obviously you want to give value to your buyers and so on, but I think as long as they understand what it is up front, as soon as it arrives in their mailbox, they're probably going to be okay.
Yeah, and I'll say this, generally, I'm telling the talent to add pages. I'm a fucking page whore. I like reading long books. I don't know what it, but typically for me, I'm always looking for emotionally resonant scenes. And if we have something that typically, like one project that we're working on, we're going to be announcing soon. There was the opportunity for an emotionally resonant scene, which is really like the crux of the book. It's where everything kicks off from. And it was 1 page. I'm like, I need 2 more pages here. Get the team back together. I'll get everybody's rates, but you need those 2 pages. We need to lengthen that out a little bit. So really, it just all goes into service of a story. Like Tom just said, we've done books on the shorter side. Nobody ever has come back and been like, oh, well, you really needed more pages here. And then on the longer books, somebody's come back and this story's too long. You're wasting too much time. As long as the story is effective, man, people are going to be happy with it, no matter what length it is. But if you're a new creator, yes, it's easier to do the shorter ones.
I definitely want to address both of those comments, but I'm waiting till everyone gets done with this question.
Hold on, you're coming up. Michael, you're up.
All right. So for me, I think Tom put it great. It was when I first started, my first book, I did 20 some odd pages. I think I did Elysian Fields issue 0 was 26 pages of story. But when I was starting, independent crowdfunding had kind of blown up because the pandemic had just started. Everyone had pandemic checks. People were throwing money at stuff, and the campaigns that I was seeing getting some of the bigger bucks were bigger page counts so that they could charge more for the books. So then I started to try and do that to mirror. And then, I figured out that I kind of overextended myself, and then I adjusted to take it back to kind of a middle ground where instead of doing 60-page book, right, for my second book, which was Pyramid Gambit, I did a 40-pager for The Embrace. But really what it all comes down to is, what does your story require? Right? Do you need, and that's something I think Marcus just talked about as well. It was, he had that scene, that emotional scene, but it needed those extra 2 pages in order to hit the way that you want it to. And so you've got to take that into account. When you're writing a script, obviously you go through draft phases. So your first draft, you're going to have stuff, but as you're going through with your editors and everything like that, you're going to be looking at stuff like, okay, actually this page here that you have X amount of panels for, there should be 2 pages, and like it, so that we can make this breathe more, or this thing that you have happen over 2 pages, it can really be condensed to 1. You're spending too much real estate on this when it should be a quicker beat, right? Like page count ultimately doesn't matter so long as it's able to tell the story in the best way that it can be appreciated. So like, for me, I like as somebody that was doing this on my own, I tried to keep things reasonable so that I could afford it. But you've got to take, there's a risk assessment part of this business where if you need the extra pages, you need the extra pages.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. And sometimes that happens. David, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'll get into what I do in a minute, but what I've noticed talking to people at cons a lot, because everyone has their stories and all, and when we fall in love with them, they get epics, and people love the world building and all that. And I notice it becomes almost a trap for them, where they're all like, I have a 20-volume epic, how am I gonna get that out? You're not. Okay, that's going to be hard, but if you know your world that well, your characters, you can take a slice of it and tell that story. Tell a piece of it and get the ball rolling. Because once you get it rolling, it becomes a lot easier. So to me, it almost feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy for folks who are like, I can't get it out. It's like, well, yes, because it's 1,000 pages that you want to get out at once. And that's going to crush anyone just by its physical weight. So, but if you can tell an 8-page story, out of it, then you can easily, do what's first. Unfortunately, there is the physical realities versus, the creative realities. Because just can tell you with Little Deaths, when we first did it, since it was on Kickstarter and it was just me and the artist, we went full bore. We added all this content. It was like 72 pages. Once it was all said and done, we added some a D&D write-up of the character. She had a little module in there that you can put her in for role playing. We were just really having fun with it. And it was so big that the first printer we went with, it was breaking their printer. Like they had a mechanic come out and goes, we can't print 72-page books. It is causing it to wear down. You're getting, because we were noticing some damage on the books and all the other. We can't do that. We're never going to do a 72-page book again. It's like, cool. But then, when me and Marcus were talking about getting into different places, all that, a 72-page book at any reasonable price point to break even was just too much. So, but luckily though, we didn't do it as a long story. And I learned this trick a long time ago, is it was almost semi-anthology, where it was a bunch of little stories, or when I say little, some of them were, almost full comic book size. And we were able to, to cut it up and make it into more manageable size. So even with my own stuff, because like Tom says, like, I'm my own boss. If I want to do 32 pages, 33, because I remember I was at a con and a pro was asking me, he's like, why is it 33 pages? Because I'm in charge. That's why. And when the writer told me he was done at 33, me as the editor said, okie dokie. And then HR goes, this is weird because I'm HR too. So, it's really, I get what everyone's saying. It's like, oh, well, there's this resident, there's this, you need this space to work and all of that. But I remember first graphic novel I did, accidentally, my first time doing the layout and all that, I left a page out, and it was a fairly important page. So we just did it as a prelude to the sequel story and the next book, and no one noticed the thing. So it was like, whew, that was, and the story worked fine without it, but that was a happy accident. But what I'm trying to say is sometimes you gotta be more flexible, and you got to be able to manipulate the situation, because unfortunately harsh reality is going to get to you. But if you know your story well enough, this is not going to be a bad thing. You know, he's like, oh, I need to tell my 1,000-page stories. Like, then you got to start with your 12-page story and then work your way up. Unless you either win the lottery or you made it in another industry and they'll, let you do that.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, so the thing is, if you have success on a platform, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatever, and you're doing it all on your own, whatever the page count is, that's fine because you are making that money. I've never really had that big of success on Kickstarter. My campaigns did get fulfilled and met my goals, but they were never high goals. They were just enough to get printed. And from time to time, my goals in the industry have changed. And one of the things is I really like to get to a publisher so I could get seen by more LCSs. I like doing comic store signings, and I like doing conventions, and I think that's my way to do it. So my last book was 26 pages, but I was talking to a publisher before I started actually the art. I had the art started. And they were like, we love this book. We love the concept. We love your story. We don't love your page count. They said, we would like it to be 22 pages and an ongoing series. And I'm like, I can do that. But, I need a guarantee kind of something or another. Otherwise, I'm going with my 26 page count and my 3-issue story because that's what I wanted to do. And there was some conversation and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. But usually whenever I talk to a new creator, I'm like, look, you can have your goal, whatever you want your goal to be. I suggest 22 pages because of the cost for the art per pages. And if you're actually trying to get published, then 22 pages is about the norm. If you're going to be an independent and you don't ever want to get published and don't care about your page count, I have a friend who's got a series that one book is like 26 pages. The next book is 36 pages. And it will fluctuate from book to book. And, I've talked to some publishers and they'd be like, we wouldn't touch that. So I think it matters. I mean, I don't think it matters to the customer so much, but it matters depending on what your goals are. Again, if you're staying in crowdfunding, it's up to you because you're doing it on your own. But for new creators, I tell them, hey, think about how much your page is going to cost. I think the smallest comic that you should print out there and get out there and try to get exposure with is going to be 22 pages because most think of that as a standard. And if you're trying to get to a publisher, I think most of the publishers are looking for 22 pages. I think that's why it matters the most. And that's what I suggest to new creators.
I know for like what I've seen a lot too, especially from people that send pitches to Odyssey, things like that. I'm really active on the subreddits and everything and see a lot of new creators looking for advice, especially from publishers. And there's always the one person who has the goals and the plans for, 120-page graphic novel or something to be their first product out. And I'm like, pump your brakes, son. Like, it's, you know what? If you do 5 22-page stories and singles, guess what? You got yourself a graphic novel.
Yep.
Keep it down, because I think we've all known people or we've seen it ourselves. Sometimes you have these longer projects, you might lose an artist. Then you got to replace your artist halfway through your graphic novel. No, now you got to start over again. It's such a tough thing that gives you so many pitfalls of trying to do these super long stories, and then the readers too. Try moving a 100-page graphic novel. How much money does it have to be in the independent market? Talking about $35 comic, probably. How many people are going to be picking that up at the booth? How many units you can be selling that? You ain't moving it through Diamond, not a chance in hell. So it's really, keep the page counts like not necessarily like low, but if you're looking to do a longer format story, singles into the graphic novel is always the move.
True. Jay, how do you go about it?
I started out doing 12-page ash cans and character guide entries, right? I love those old Marvel handbook universe things and the DC's Who's Who. So I had more fun just putting stuff like that out. And then I learned about 3-act structure. The setup, the turn, the resolution, or Marvel's version, right? Powers, no powers, powers. Whatchamacallit. But yeah, I mean, go with what you could afford. This if you're starting off and this is your first rodeo, you're gonna screw up. You're gonna screw up. So it's best to screw up when you're only doing small page count things where you can learn from it. I'm at a point right now where I'm trying to graduate from the Kirkman School and turn 1 issue into a 6-issue arc. You know what I mean? We're talking about giving things time to breathe. And man, he had a lot of breathing room in those Invincible issues. Damn, that joke felt so flat. I'm so sorry. I expected a bigger pop on that. You know what I mean?
You should be used to your jokes going that way, though. I don't know what else to expect.
Oh,
yeah, I didn't even realize it was a joke. So you mentioned it.
I'm sorry.
Jay, it was just us getting back at you for bringing down the show earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That was a boost. But no, I mean, it's just you're gonna learn. So be prepared to lose money. That's more the advice I'd give them to than worrying about page count. Be prepared to lose money and make sure you learn from it if you want to keep going. True.
All right. For myself, Tom pulled out one of my older books, and I was showing these to Jay yesterday. So here's a book I did back in '93. There you go. There's another one.
Yeah.
Right. So this is Dreamweavers. This book is 48 pages. Why is it 48 pages? I don't know. Because that's what me and the artist wanted. That's why. That's it. That's the only reason it's 48 pages.
Yeah, but that's a standalone story, right?
Well, it does have an ending, but it's a 6-issue limited series.
Okay.
This one could be read by itself, though.
Okay.
But it is a 6-issue.
48 pages. That's a Polito graphic novel.
Yeah.
Now, here's the second issue. Here's the second issue to that series, right? This was 32 pages. I don't have it near me, but the third issue was 24 pages. so it went from 48, 32 to 24. And
So you just got tired of writing. You were like, fuck this.
No, I think the artist got tired of drawing. I mean,
It's funny. I saw the book yesterday in person, but while you're waving around on camera, it looks like the Alan Davis clandestine book.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, Matthew was a huge fan of Alan Davis. Yeah. So I mean, he's all black and white. So it's coming back to life at some point. So it's
very
coming
good.
Back.
Very good.
But with something like the Oswald Chronicles, I just write it and I just it is as long as it's going to be, and then I just break them up into chunks, usually like 24-page issues, and then I just produce them that way, and then you put them together the way you want to put them as a nice trade paperback at the end.
So that came out when in '93?
Well, it's funny. They both came out in '93. They both dated '93. So I would imagine one came out January, February, and the other one probably came out in like November, December.
Okay, I graduated from high school in June of '93. So, yeah.
94.
When that
I was gonna say I graduated in
They
96.
kicked me out of high school in 1990. There, just don't come back anymore. Go take this piece of paper and stop coming here.
I hate all
Hey guys, I've got to run, but it's been great hanging out with everybody.
Good one, Michael.
If you guys don't already have me up on Facebook, please feel free to add me. I think Marcus, I added you during the stream. But yeah, always good to chat with peers in the indie scene.
Thank you.
All right, bud.
Well,
Great looking
Michael,
project.
Before you go,
Good
let
luck.
everybody know where they can find you and your work, sir.
You can find me on Facebook, Michael Oden and Nine Realms Publishing. On Twitter, you can find me at ElysianFields_0. And Judex is live on Indiegogo right now. We're 2 days in and we've crossed 6K, and we're hoping to make it even bigger than that. So thank you guys so much. And JD, it's always a blast.
Thank you,
Take
man.
care,
Thank
bud.
you, Oden. Yo,
Cheers, guys.
good seeing you. I'll see you again soon, bro. Here, look. Here's one from Daphne.
Wow.
Covered. Do I need to get it graded, JD?
Yeah,
Wow.
I just heard it. There you go. You probably do.
You got a better chance at him buying back that issue from you.
Probably. We're sold out. I printed no Photoshop back then. And Grant says what's up.
Hey, Greg.
So yeah, we printed 3,000 of that one, and then 3,000 of what we could call the reader's edition, which had a different cover on it, and it was printed on newsprint and was half the price. It was $1.50. So yeah. So we had like just a generic reader's edition, and it was $1.50, and then we did those with the foil and the cardstock covers, and those were like, almost double.
Dude, it's crazy how upside down newsprint has gone. Now, like newsprint is like a specialty. I tried to get a newsprint edition of Ubi's made up, and I was like, "What? What is the price?" No.
Yeah. Well, no, it depends where you go. You got to find the right printer. You have to go to like one of these places that just does like circulars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you
Yeah, most printers are not going to carry that stuff, so it's a specialty item for them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. You got to go to like a website. I think it's a website printer, and they specialize. That's what they do, and then those guys will be able to run them. And you can probably get them cheap once you get up into like, 3,000 or 4,000 range. The price was probably like 30 cents a book or something.
If you're just trying to get the smell, the newsprint smell, just moisten the back of a backboard a little bit, so that way it'll mold up, and when they flip out that cover.
I was looking more for the vibe and the texture experience.
I was making a joke about it, but dude, that smell brings back so many good memories for me, man.
Dude, if you want to smell, you go open an old pulp magazine. That's the smell right there. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean,
now,
I don't
might
know if
crumble and then you just kind of just do a little of this and put it on your neck, and you smell good for a little while.
Okay, I gotta let me share this. So we're cleaning out, and if my wife was watching, I'm sorry, baby. We're cleaning out her brother's belongings and stuff, and we come across a pack of Superman, the third movie trading cards. Okay,
wow.
And the dare was to eat the gum that was.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah.
No.
So me being the moron that I am, I took upon the dare, and it literally crumbled as we opened up the package.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
you take a bite out of that stuff, it just turns to dust.
It turned to dust. It got stuck in my gums. It took me about 25 minutes. See, I married a genius. It took me about 25 minutes to scrub that son of a bitch out of my molar, right? And I'm just like, oh my God, why did I do this?
Yeah, it was gum 40 years ago. Now it's just a stick of dust.
Right.
But the smell, that newsprint smell. Oh, those old trading cards, it was there.
Yeah. From dust we come, and from dust we all shall return.
That's it.
This is true. This is true. All right, gentlemen. Well, we made it to the second hour, so I think we did all right for ourselves. So, thank you so much for all being here. You guys are all awesome. Thank you. And let's start with David. David, where could we find you and your work, sir?
You can find me on Linktree, David Doub. Look me under Show Enough Studios, or you can. I'll let Marcus handle some of my press right now because we're doing a few things here.
Nice. All right, Tom.
Yeah, so pretty much I live on Facebook, so you guys can find me there, either on my own feed. You're welcome to friend me up, or we have the Big Dog Inc. page. You can follow us there. Twitter and Instagram, BDI Comics. We have our Patreon, patreon.com/Big Dog Inc. And we just rolled over 12,000 while we're doing this show tonight. Nice. So we've got plenty of time for everybody to jump in, but we do have already sold out books on day 2. So don't wait too long.
Nice. Mr. Marcus.
Yeah, you can find all the Odyssey stuff at odysseycomics.com, of course, which right now we're running a sale for 40% off your purchase in celebration of Twilight Custard getting the Ringo nom. So you can pick that up at an all-time low price. You can find us on IG and Facebook at Odyssey Comics Official, Twitter at comics_Odyssey. And of course, if you're looking for now physical books in person, you're a SoCal resident, you can hit up a shop called Quest Chains and you can shop our comics in store there.
Very nice.
Very cool. Mr. Paul.
I'm Paul Gomez 790. Some of my books are on ASAP Imagination's website right now through the end of this month. My debut comic PTSD is actually on sale, and every penny that is going to be purchased for that comic this month is actually going to Wounded Warrior Foundation. So every penny that is paid to buy that digital copy goes to that foundation for the entirety of this month. Again, my name's Paul Gomez 790. You can catch me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter if you need any help with comics. If you need any help whatsoever, if you just need to talk, reach out, let me know. I'm here.
Cool. Mr. J.
UnstoppableComics.com. All roads for me lead to and from Unstoppable Comics. You can find all of our social media links on there.
Oh, cool. And I'm JD Calderon. You can find me here just about every Sunday with Mr. J and some of these other fine gentlemen and some other fine gentlemen, and eventually and occasionally a lady. So, you know.
Sometimes they're
You know, so thank you so much. And like I said, you can find me a whole bunch of other places. Go look at the OswaldChronicles.com, TallTalesOnline.com. We have another campaign coming up, you know, because it's never ends, right, guys? So thank you so much for being here. And just remember, buy more indie comics, especially ours. Go check out those show notes. Those links are there. Go click on those links and go buy yourself some awesome books. Thank you so much. Have a good night, guys.
Night, everybody.
Peace.
Where's the end title card?